Okay, so you want to own a laundromat. Rent a small space on a busy street, fill it with washing machines and dryers, put in a coin slot, and let the machines do the work while you sleep. No staff, no inventory, no food to spoil, no customers to charm. The machines run, the coins drop, and you come by twice a week to empty them. It is the most famous boring business in the world, and it has an almost mythical reputation as easy passive income, and it can be a genuinely good business, but almost nobody understands what it actually sells. And once you do, you will see something strange and slightly uncomfortable sitting at the center of it, because a laundromat does not sell clean clothes. A laundromat sells the absence of a washing machine. Let me explain what I mean, because that one sentence explains everything about this business, including the part nobody says out loud. Start with a simple question. Who actually uses a laundromat? Not people who own a washing machine. Not once. Not ever. Nobody with a working machine at home puts their clothes in a bag, carries it down the street, sits in a room with strangers for 90 minutes, and pays for the privilege. That is not a customer you compete for. That is a customer who does not exist. So every single person in your laundromat is there for one reason. They do not have a machine, and they cannot get one. And that is a very specific situation. Maybe their apartment is too small, with no space and no plumbing for it. Maybe they rent, and the landlord does not provide one and will not allow one to be installed. Maybe the building is old and the wiring or the water pressure cannot handle it. Maybe they move often and cannot carry appliances around. Maybe they simply cannot afford the upfront cost of buying one. Notice what all of those have in common. None of them are about laundry. They are about housing. A laundromat is not a laundry business. It is a housing business wearing a laundry costume. And this single fact controls everything, starting with the most important decision you will ever make in this industry, which is location. In most businesses, location means foot traffic, or visibility, or being near money. Here it means something much more precise. You need to be inside a neighborhood where a large share of homes do not have in-unit laundry. That is it. That is the whole market. A busy street means nothing if everyone on it has a machine at home. A wealthy area is actively bad because wealthy homes have laundry. A brand new development is bad because new buildings almost always include hookups. What you want is dense housing, mostly rented, mostly older, mostly small, with people who have to walk to wash. Within that, you want to be close enough that carrying a heavy bag is not a nightmare because your customers arrive on foot and a bag of wet laundry is heavy, so the catchment area for a laundromat is tiny compared to almost any other business. A few blocks in every direction. This is why two laundromats a short walk apart can both survive on completely separate customers, and why one opening across the street from you can be devastating. You are not competing for a city. You are competing for a handful of streets. Now let us build one, because the cost structure surprises almost everyone. The machines themselves are expensive. Commercial washers and dryers are not household appliances. They are built to run all day, every day, for years, and they are priced accordingly. A single large commercial washer can cost as much as a car. Filling a store with 20, 30, 40 machines is an enormous upfront number, and this is the first thing that kills the fantasy of a cheap little business. But the machines are not even the hardest part. The hardest part is the building itself, because a laundromat needs infrastructure that almost no other small retail space has. It needs enormous water supply and drainage. It needs heavy electrical capacity. It needs gas connections for the dryers. It needs ventilation for all the heat and moisture. It needs floors that can handle water. Putting this into a space that was not built for it is extremely expensive, sometimes more expensive than the machines, which leads to a strange feature of this industry. The most valuable thing is often not the business at all, but the plumbing and the electrical work already installed in that specific space. When someone buys an existing laundromat, a huge part of what they are paying for is the fact that all of that infrastructure already exists and does not have to be built again. Now the running costs, and this is where the myth of the effortless money machine meets reality. Water, enormous amounts of it, electricity, and gas for heat, which is one of the biggest lines on the bill. And crucially, these are not fixed costs. They rise and fall with usage, which means every wash has a real cost attached. And your profit per cycle is the gap between what the customer pays and what the utilities charge you. When energy prices rise sharply, that gap can close fast, and you cannot always raise prices to match, because your customers are, by definition, people who are careful with money. So you have a business with heavy upfront investment, real variable costs, and price-sensitive customers. It is not free money. But here is where it gets clever, and where the good operators separate themselves from the rest. Look at what actually happens to a customer's time. They arrive, load a machine, and pay, and then they are stuck. A wash cycle plus a dry cycle is a serious block of time, often an hour and a half or more. And crucially, it is dead time, too long to be worth going home, too short to do anything meaningful. They cannot leave their clothes unattended without risk. So the customer is physically trapped in your space for 90 minutes with nothing to do. And this is the second product of a laundromat that almost almost nobody notices. You are not just selling the wash. You are selling a room that someone has to sit in. Now think like an owner. What do you put in a room where someone is stuck, bored, and already holding coins? Vending machines with snacks and drinks. A machine selling detergent and softener at a serious markup because a customer who forgot theirs has zero alternatives. A change machine, sometimes an arcade game, a television, a coffee machine, and most importantly, dryers. Dryers are the quiet star of this business. Here is the thing. Washing is fairly predictable, but drying is sold in time, usually a set number of minutes per coin, and a load that is not quite dry needs one more cycle, and then maybe one more. Customers routinely feed extra coins into a dryer to finish a job the washer started, and those extra minutes carry very high margins. Many operators will tell you plainly that the washers bring people in and the dryers make the money. Then there is the second business hiding inside the first one, which is other people's laundry done for them. Wash and fold. The customer drops off a bag, an employee washes, dries and folds it, and they collect it later. Notice what this changes. Now you are selling labor and convenience, not machine time, and the margin per bag is far higher. It uses your existing machines during quiet daytime hours when the store is half empty. It turns your dead capacity into revenue, and commercial contracts push this further. Restaurants, small hotels, gyms, salons, all of which generate steady, predictable, boring volumes of laundry every single week. A laundromat with strong commercial accounts is a fundamentally different business from one relying on walk-in coins, because it has contracts instead of luck. Now let us deal with the biggest myth, the one that draws most people into this industry, the idea that a laundromat is passive. It is more passive than a restaurant, absolutely. There is no menu, no chef, no rush hour, no reservations. But passive is the wrong word for a room full of hardworking machines used by the public. Machines break constantly. Something is always leaking, jamming, refusing a coin, or draining slowly. If you cannot fix things yourself, every failure is a call-out fee, and a broken machine earns nothing while it waits. The store must be cleaned every day, because a dirty laundromat loses customers instantly, and unlike most shops, yours is being judged by people who are sitting inside it doing nothing but looking around for 90 minutes. And there is cash. A coin operation means physically collecting, transporting, counting, and banking heavy money, and it means being a target for theft. Modern card and app systems solve much of that, but they cost money and cut out customers who prefer coins. And in this business, those customers matter. And then there is the problem no other retail business has quite so severely. Your store is open, warm, dry, and largely unsupervised. That means it can attract people who are not there to do laundry. Managing that, gently and safely, is a real ongoing task, and it is the part of this business that never appears in any passive income video. So a well-run laundromat is not passive. It is low intensity but constant, like owning a building that also happens to have 40 machines in it. Now, let us talk about the deepest mechanism of all, because this is the part that makes this business genuinely unusual and slightly uncomfortable. Remember the core insight. You do not sell laundry. You sell the absence of a washing machine. That means your revenue is a direct function of how many people nearby cannot get one. Now follow that logic forward, honestly. What happens if the neighborhood improves? Old buildings get renovated, and renovations add laundry hookups. New developments arrive, and new apartments almost always include machines. Incomes rise, and people buy their own. Landlords upgrade units to attract better tenants. Every single one of those is a good thing for the neighborhood, and every single one of them removes customers from your business permanently, not temporarily, permanently. A customer who gets a washing machine at home never comes back ever. There is no win-back campaign, no discount, no loyalty program that can compete with a machine in their own hallway. This is the strange truth at the center of the laundromat. It is one of the very few businesses where local prosperity is a direct threat to your revenue. Most businesses want their neighborhood to get richer. A cafe, a gym, a restaurant, a shop, all of them cheer when a neighborhood improves because their customers get more money to spend. A laundromat is the opposite. Your ideal neighborhood is stable, dense, rented, and unchanged for decades. And here is the part I want to be careful and honest about, because this is not a story about villains. Laundromats provide a genuinely necessary service. For a person without a machine, the alternative is not convenience. It is washing clothes by hand in a bathtub. These places matter. They serve people the rest of the economy often ignores. Many of them are run by ordinary families who work very hard in them, but the economics are what they are. This is a business whose customer base is defined by a lack of access, and any improvement in that access shrinks it. That is not a moral failure of the owner. It is simply the shape of the machine, and it means that when you buy a laundromat, you are not really buying machines, and you are not really buying a lease. You are buying a bet on a neighborhood staying exactly the way it is. So let me show you the whole thing at once. It is a Sunday afternoon. The store is bright, a little too warm, and loud with the sound of 20 machines all running at once. The air smells like detergent and hot cotton. A woman is folding a towel on a metal table while watching her second load spin. A man is feeding one more coin into a dryer because his jeans are still damp. Two kids are sitting on plastic chairs by the window, bored out of their minds. Somebody's phone is playing music quietly. Nobody in this room wants to be here. Every single person would rather be at home, and that is precisely why the business works, because none of them can be. They will come back next week, and the week after, and the week after that, not out of loyalty, not because they like the place, but because the fundamental condition of their housing has not changed. That is the most reliable customer relationship in retail, and it is built entirely on something the owner cannot control and did not create. So when you look at a laundromat, do not see machines, see a room full of people who do not have something at home. The washers are just the visible part. The real asset is invisible, and it lives in the buildings all around the store. That is why the smartest operators in this industry spend far more time studying housing than studying laundry. They look at how many rental units are nearby, how old the buildings are, whether anything new is being approved, whether the area is being renovated. They are not asking, do people here have dirty clothes? Everyone has dirty clothes. They are asking, how many people here will still have nowhere to wash them in 10 years? And that is the entire business in one sentence. A laundromat does not sell you a clean shirt. It rents you a machine you were never able to own for as long as you are unable to own one.